Well, hello and welcome to the season finale of this season.
Of Marriage Matters?
Well, if it wasn't this season, it wouldn't be a season finale, would it?
No.
So it's the season finale.
The last one.
The last one. Anyway, episode 12, depends how you want to view it. Anyway, so you're welcome to Marriage Matters, and we're looking at...
Managing expectations.
Yes, I had a brainwave. It doesn't usually go well when I have a brainwave, but anyway, let's see how this one goes. Yes, managing expectations. What does that mean? What does it look like? How can we factor that into our marriages? All that kind of malarkey. But as ever, if you don't want to miss out on anything that we're doing, and I promise you don't, then it's really simple. Go to the website www.berrybunch.family. You go to the little thing that says newsletter. You sign up, and then every week we get a little tiny email that we send to you saying, here's what we've done in the last 7 days.
Yeah.
And then very excitingly, once a month, we'll send you stuff we've been doing in the last month.
Yeah.
Any exciting news, like new books, for example.
Yeah, so Marriage Matters. We're looking at, we go into marriage, the wedding and all, with expectations of what that marriage and that life's going to be like. We may have had experiences growing up. We may have seen other marriages, may have read books or watched films and thought that's what it's going to be like. And we might have high expectations or low expectations.
Spoken to a group of people who got really bitter about marriage. That's not going to be a good expectation.
Yeah, that can cloud your judgment.
Or you speak to people who've had amazing marriages and you get married and think, there's nothing like that.
Yeah.
So we can work both ways.
But we can put on, rosy-eyed coloured spectacles, isn't it?
Rose-coloured spectacles.
And maybe romanticise something of your life together with your spouse, when actually we have to be more real, more realistic, don't we, about managing those expectations of what it's going to be like in the future.
We love marriage. Marriage is fantastic. It's really exciting. I'm really glad I got married when I was 19. It's the best thing I ever did. It was the best decision I made. And it was absolutely the right thing for us. We're passionate about marriage, but marriages don't always work quite as we might hope. That's not, it might not work out. It's not one of those. It doesn't always work out like you think.
Yeah.
I remember the Wren Collective, the lady, the singer, talking about the wedding day, and they were going off for their honeymoon, and it was just an absolute unmitigated disaster. There were people dying. I think the car broke down, and they lost, and it wasn't your fairy tale driving off to the honeymoon. But that's not the be-all and end-all of your marriage.
No.
Giving you a clue for the end on managing expectations today.
That's just the start, isn't it?
It's one day. We can put a lot of effort into the marriage day.
Yeah.
And it's good and it's right. It's not, let's have a go, see what happens. That's the wrong attitude. But we can put perhaps too much into the wedding day. So we'll share some of our wedding day, what that looked like for us, and what we think the wedding day is about. I'm going to cough.
Oh dear. And we'll look at where you go from there and how you stay on target, stay together through the ups and downs of life.
I had a ginger biscuit just before we started.
Oh.
Well, I had two, and my expectation was not that I would choke. It's funny how these things change, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to carry on now with, it's a revamped little promo video.
Ooh.
There you go.
So let's pray. Andy's going to come on and show us how to pray. Excellent. What have you got there?
It's my world's atlas,
Okay.
so I can pray for the world.
Okay.
You see, pray's good.
Right. Okay. You're going to show us how to do that then?
Yeah. So I've got my atlas, and if you go to the letter A, I'm going to start here. So and please God, please bless our Ben Ra and our Chun and our Borg.
What did you like about the story?
Bob
You like Bob?
and the stick. We like sticks.
You like the stick?
We like sticks a lot. I do.
Okay. Well, we'll try and make sure there's some more stories with sticks in,
Thank
Dave,
you.
especially for you.
I hadn't seen that promo there before, so it's quite good.
You've heard it before.
Yes.
It's nice. It's nice when you do something and your wife's like, oh, that's really good.
Yes.
Oh, I like that. That's always encouraging to me as a husband that I've made something good.
So we're on the meaty section where we sort of dive in deeper into the subject.
Yes.
And we're looking at managing expectations. We've talked a little bit about the wedding day and how we might be expecting the marriage to go. And so we've got some scriptures. I noticed you there picked up the Bible. It's always my cue. So we'll frame it in some scripture. What have we got? Dum.
Well,
I think, are you going to go for the Proverbs one, 24:3?
yeah, the Proverbs is good.
That's always good guidance there in Proverbs for us.
Okay, Proverbs 24.
3.
Verse 3, by wisdom a house is built, and through understanding it is established. Through knowledge its rooms are filled with rare and beautiful treasures.
Excellent.
It's good, that one.
Yeah. So what does it mean?
It means that by wisdom a house is built. Actually, I'll tell you what, I'll answer that question with another bit of scripture. We jump to the Matthew one. Matthew 7,
24 to 27, yeah.
You'll know this one. The wise man builds his house upon... Okay. Therefore, everyone who hears these words of mine and puts them into practice is like a wise man who built his house on the rock. Just saying that, you see. The rain came down, the streams rose. Who's doing the actions?
No.
The streams rose and the winds blew and beat against that house. Yet it did not fall because it had its foundation on the rock. But everyone who hears these words of mine and does not put them into practice is like a foolish man who built his house on sand. The rain came down, the streams rose, and the winds blew and beat against that house, and it fell with a great crash. Now, I'm going to come back to the Proverbs one. But I would say if you put all your effort in to your wedding day, you might spend £30,000, £60,000. You've got the perfect bridegroom, outfits. The dresses are perfect, the lighting, everything. You've got your tent and your marquee all sorted, and the perfect food. It's really good to intend to start the best way. Absolutely. We've shared this joke before. It's just as funny. Dr. Neil Anderson, who wrote Freedom in Christ Ministries, he heads that up from the States, talks about how on your wedding day, your bride is the best she's ever going to look. And after the sort of, little bit of laughter, you start to think, well, actually, that's true. And it's not a bad or negative thing, but you think about your normal, stereotypical wedding day, lots of it is centered around the bride. So the flowers match her hair, or the dress is, factored into around the building and all this kind of stuff. And it's not all about the wife, but actually there's an awful lot put in about the bride. Nothing wrong with that, by the way. However, it doesn't always work that way. And as he points out, it's the best your bride's ever going to look, because when you have your first year anniversary, you're not going to have a team of people setting up flowers for you, quite probably. The dress won't quite be the same one that you had. It won't be quite as special. And actually, it shouldn't be quite as special because the wedding day is a really important day. Yeah. However, if you build your marriage upon your wedding day, I would say that's like building your house upon the sand.
Yeah.
Because if one thing goes wrong, well, that's it. Then it's a bad marriage, isn't it? We've had a bad wedding day. Actually, your marriage as a Christian is not meant to be built on the day. Your marriage is built on a rock. What is the rock? Well, it's the foundation of Jesus Christ.
Yeah. I mean, the wedding is about gathering people, friends, family, to support you on your journey. And we've often talked about, we can't do it by ourselves. We need other people coming alongside, giving us advice, praying for us.
I'm frantically looking for a little quote.
Oh, are you? And so, we will sometimes feel upset or think things aren't working out in our marriage, especially those early months and even that first year, because we're not familiar with each other. We're bringing our own issues. And so we need to learn how to grow together. So we need other people to help us through. What you got?
Okay, so this is nothing to do with what we're talking about, but this is brilliant. A cord of 3 strands is not easily broken. Note, 2 people plus God equals 3. This is a little something my wife and I call 3 makes 2.
Yeah.
Now, that wasn't to do with marriage, but that's really good, actually. 3 makes 2. When you think about your wedding day, it's not about the wedding day. It's about the marriage. It's about why do you have a wedding day? And you don't have a wedding day because it's a great day. You have a wedding day because it begins your marriage.
Yeah,
it's the marriage that's the point. Because when everybody goes home at the end and you're on your own, well, you're on your own. But actually, if you've got God in the middle, that quote from David was great about 3 and 2, wasn't it?
Yeah.
3 becomes 2 or 2 becomes 3.
Yeah, and we've often talked about the importance of God being at the centre of your marriage, praying for one another, and keeping going through the highs and lows. We spoke earlier on one of our episodes about through health and illness, isn't it? What's the vows say that through sickness and health. And so they're going to be ups and downs, and so we can't have expectations that things are going to be smooth, it's going to be wonderful, it's going to be like the movies, but at the same time we shouldn't have a negative approach thinking, we'll see what happens, and if it don't work out we'll try somebody else, because that's not the right attitude either.
I've just come back to this Proverbs 24, verse 3. By wisdom, a house is built. Through understanding, it is established. I think what we always try and say with Marriage Matters is we're looking at what's God's best, what's his gold standard, not what that'll do. We're not saying that you should manage your expectations by having low standards or low expectations. That's the wrong heart and the wrong attitude. We've got a link we're going to give you to Hot, Holy and Humorous. Actually, it's quite an older article, which I'm going to pull up on my phone, which I had done, which I forgot about. Just
carry on, yeah. And this was
this is managing your expectations, because Joe expected me to have something I don't.
Yes. So there, you never quite know where you're going in marriage sometimes, and you don't know what your spouse is doing.
High standards, low expectations. So this is a plan. This is called A Plan for 2012, Hot, Holy and Humorous. We'll link to that afterwards. But that, I think, is the point. We're not saying managing your expectations, therefore, well, it's going to go rubbish, therefore expect not much and then you'll be okay. That's the wrong heart and the wrong attitude. Actually, we're saying manage your expectations by having really high standards. What I liked about that article is it said what I was trying to say, but she's far more articulate. We should have high standards. We should expect to have the very best marriage. We really, really should. But we shouldn't be so expectant of that if one little tiny thing goes wrong, it's like the house of cards, it crumbles, you know? So we need to have sensible expectations. We should be expecting the good and the godly and the miraculous and the transformative and the liberation. We should expect that our marriages are going to transform the lives of others and resemble the light of Jesus Christ.
Oh, that phrase that comes to my mind, is it plan for the best, prepare for the worst or something? Would that be...
Yeah, plan for the worst, hope for the best is... I suppose depending on your perspective, but we should be expecting our marriages to be amazing places. I have to be honest, a little bit before we were doing something else, and I wasn't my usual calm, peaceful self, which is mostly how I am, and we didn't have the greatest of conversations. That happens.
Yeah.
And I've said sorry to Joe, and Stephen said, "What are you doing, Dad?" When your kids get older, they hold you to account. It's good.
Yeah.
He became a real brother in Christ. And, we have these moments, and we want to be honest with you. It's not always going to be sun and sand. Sometimes it's, blocked drains.
Yeah, and it's about letting stuff go as well, isn't it? It's about forgiveness. It's about loving one. Yeah, I can sing that song. Loving one another, helping each other through the ups and downs, and just giving each other a bit of give and take, isn't it? But yeah, I think if we have this expectation of a way the marriage is going to go, and it doesn't meet our expectations, that's when the marriage might wobble a bit, won't it?
And I think that's really easy to come in. If you've got such a meticulously planned day, you've got your wedding planner, it's all perfectly laid out. The problem is that's never going to be a marriage. You're never going to have a meticulous home. You're not. It's life. And actually, you don't want a meticulous home, because if you ever have guests, they wouldn't want to stay. So you want a bit of mess. Now, we wanted to share a little bit about our wedding day, because we wanted to make the point that we don't come from... We've never struggled with the burden of wealth, I think it would be fair to say. But our wedding day, Joe had a wedding dress. It was 250 quid.
That was
That's
a lot.
1996. It was £1,000. It was half of that. And then because I went in to check on something, it's all, buy it today, have half off, 250. So we got it for 250. The wedding day itself, I think, cost no more than 250. Everybody kind of pulled in. The church where they hadn't had a wedding for decades, I think it was. So they all plumbed in, and it wasn't the best of days. We've talked about some family issues, and, my family, they're not particularly nice people, I have to be honest. I don't mind saying that delicately, but they weren't particularly helpful. They weren't very supportive, to say the least. So it wasn't a particularly great day, our wedding day. Somebody says, "Oh, it's not too late, Andy. You can say no and get rid of Joe." And that's when I was at the altar waiting for Joe to come up. That's our wedding day. Yeah. It's not your romantic, idyllic, wonderful start. But do you know what? Our marriage wasn't based on a day. Our marriage was based on the love of Jesus Christ, our shared love together for Jesus Christ. That is what our marriage is based on. And that's why we're 25 years on. We're still very happily married. We love being with each other. We can't spend enough time together. And I think a lot of that is we didn't base our marriage on a day, because if we had, our marriage would be a disaster. And then you start getting into fatalism and all the rest of it. Oh, well, it went well, so it'll be good, and it went bad, so it'll be awful. And your marriage is more than the total of your wedding day.
I must admit, I was thinking about that then. It's a kind of a blessing in disguise, that things went wrong, because actually we had to fight for each other, fight for our marriage, fight for that date. In some ways, that helps you, doesn't it? Because you fight for something that's worth it, then that keeps you going. So when you do go through the difficult times, then you've been strengthened by that experience. But we didn't get married in the summer, which is often when people get married. We got married in November, and it rained, and like we've got a picture of us with an umbrella up, which is funny because that's what happens in England. It rains.
I look back to our wedding day, and I, it's one of the biggest highlights of my life. As a day, it was horrible. It was dreadful. It was surrounded by unpleasantness and all the kind of worst of families that you could dream of. That's what I was having to face off and fight. It was not the best of days. However, it's the best of days for me because it's the day we became husband and wife.
Absolutely. And the photos, we all smiled on the photos.
Yeah, some
Jeez,
more than
happy.
others. Photos were doctored, I have to be honest. The photo album was not as it was taken. But that's life, and you have to deal with what comes and goes, and you can't choose your family. I would have chosen different. But you can choose your bride. And you can choose to start your marriage not based on your wedding day, but on Jesus Christ. And if you have a marriage that's based not on the wedding day going well, but actually upon Jesus Christ being the center of your life, all of a sudden the two of you becomes a three-pronged cord.
Yeah. I don't know.
That can't easily be broken. To get God in the center, when we talk about managing expectations, we're saying, look, you can't prepare for everything. You can't plan for everything. You can't be ready for everything. You can't prepare for losing a child. You can't prepare for losing a job or a house fire. We haven't had that one, thank God. But, there are plenty of things that we've had to deal with that you can't prepare for. Yes, roll with resistance, but have a high standard. Managing your expectations, for me, in marriage matters, I'm getting passionate again, is about saying we want to have a really good marriage. We're going to have it filled with the light and love of Jesus Christ. It's not going to be always perfect because we're two human beings, but God is at the center.
Yeah.
So managing your expectations is always better dealt with when you got God in the middle. There's my little thought. That's a different thing we do.
You'll never guess what. Dave the dog has his own show, and it's called Dave Unleashed.
Are we sure about this?
Well, I'm going to be there on hand. I'm going to help him.
What mayhem are we to expect?
Well, to keep him on track, he's got story time, he's got art time. So, and I'll be there to help him.
What could possibly go wrong?
Is it you or me?
You're looking at me.
I thought you said you were doing it.
No, you usually start.
I thought
this,
you
don't
just said this was usually my bit.
Oh, well, I can start, but because I was thinking about the ups and downs.
Managing your expectations.
Managing expectations. And I was thinking about, you listed a few things before the break about this could happen or that could happen, miscarriage or fire or illness or different kinds of things. And I watched this video. We watched it as a family, actually, from the Skit Guys. Skit Guys are Christian comedians who do some great video resources and things. So do check them out on skitguys.com, isn't it?
We'll put a link to them.
Yeah. But just recently they sent, because I get subscribed to some of their stuff, and they sent a video, and it was one of them. I can't remember which one's it. Eddie, is it Eddie, the one who did it? And he does this great sketch about the cards you're dealt. And just remembering that actually God helps us and knows what cards we're going to get, what situations are going to come upon us, and how he can use them. And it's very powerful, isn't it? Because sometimes we think, oh, it's not fair. Why has this happened? So we could get like that, thinking, oh, it's not fair. Lots of other people had big weddings and everyone was very supportive, or they've got family that can do this, that and the other. And we can all feel a little bit like, well, the other couples have got this, that and the other, or a bit more money, or whatever it might be. And we might think, cool, I've got some lame cards. I don't know if you're a card player or if you play poker or anything like that, or you get given these cards, don't you? Dealt these cards in life, and sometimes we can feel aggrieved by them, can't we? So do check out that skit, guys, because I think that's really helpful to reflect on. God's involved with all this, and we can grow and learn through these things that happen. And I think we've said that in previous episodes, haven't we? How much we've grown closer together actually through adversity.
Yeah, it's easy to see the problems and think, oh, that was terrible, that was really hard. And the skit guys beautifully, as ever, pull this out. That some of those harder times, you'd never choose them, but actually what they do is bring you in a way. They define your relationship, they define your approach to life. And getting married for Joe and I, even getting engaged, we've shared this in a previous episode. You can check that in the first season. But we've talked about some of the hardships we had of getting married and getting engaged. Joe had to fight for me because it wasn't a great family situation and all the rest of it. We've shared that before. You can't control all sorts of things, but actually what those things did was we fought for each other, and we've had some really hard times as a family. We've already got that posture ready of bracing ourselves and working it through with the boys. So when difficulties come, they're the same. It's not like we're already, we're not always on this posture of, okay, we're ready and braced. That would be inappropriate and unhealthy. But actually, when things come, we've battled enough battles to see it through, to keep going.
Yeah.
That makes sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
So we'll link to that article, High Standards, Low Expectations.
Yes.
Is that the one?
It's for Hot, Holy and Humorous.
Have I got the title wrong already?
I can't remember what the title was.
That's really impressive today, isn't it?
High Standards, Low Expectations.
High standards, low expectations. Don't go into marriage thinking, well, my parents had a divorce, and well, look at what happened on the wedding day, and this is bad. And you've got to shift your mindset to God. Actually, I'm not going to quote from Jay Parker's article. Go and read it. We'll link to it. It's really, really good. It's 10 years old, but it's a brilliant article. It's not dated at all. It's absolutely relevant. You should do this every year. But we've got to think, what is it we're expecting? We all come in to marriage. It's easy to think, okay, we come in with our sexual baggage. We talk about marriages. Oh, yeah, you've got sexual baggage from your past, what you've seen, what you've heard, what you've done. Yes, that's a part of it. Shoulda, woulda, coulda, all that kind of stuff. But also, we've got those conversations we've had with people who are quite bitter about marriage. We've got those conversations with people who, we have sex every day and it's great, and actually get married and it's really excruciatingly painful. And it's like, well, why isn't our marriage like that one? And once you get into that comparative approach, you're going to struggle, because we should have high expectations, but that doesn't mean to say that, well, God's standard is high for us and his best for us is amazing, that everything is going to be rosy.
No.
Because it just isn't. But actually those darker moments, that they do define you in a good way. And I look back at, losing Magdi was a miscarriage that we had. It's one of the most painful experiences in my life. And yet her death actually set us up for life, because what it did was we seized every day. We don't throw a day away. You can have a really bad day. It's 8 o'clock. Oh, we just give up. We still don't give up. We fight for the rest of that day. That is the good that comes out of a dark moment. So don't think it's bad, it's hard, it's wrong, therefore that's the end. Let God take the wrong and the bad and refine it and change it into something beautifully good, because he's very good at that.
Yes.
In 2018, Joe and I were full-time children's ministers, loving what we were doing and wanting to share our resources freely with others to use. Scroll on 2 years to 2020 and we'd finally launched our BerryBunch.family website. Chock full of resources. It was a bit embarrassing when we had one video, but we've now got nearly 500 videos for you to use, stream, share and download, with 900 posts. All full of information that you are free to use in your situation, whether that's a church, a family, or just for your own personal use. We've been asked to do all sorts of things. We've made logos. There's somebody who wanted a new logo for their blog. We've been asked to create children's discipleship group, so we've done that. We've been asked to create a book about broken dreams and hope, and we've done that as well. We love creating resources that are relevant for your situation, so get in touch with what your needs are. Our vision and our passion is to create material that is family safe or free for all, wherever you are in the world. And that is exactly what we do. So if you want to help us continue to do that, or if you want us to make something specific for your situation, then get in touch.
You're looking at me again, aren't you?
Oh, I've forgotten who's doing this link.
You're doing the takeaway.
Okay, I'm doing the takeaway. Welcome to the takeaway. Oh dear. Dinner's
What are you
ready.
taking away then?
What am I taking away? I think there's a... I went on a lot about the wedding day and how we can look at the wedding day, and I think because there's so much of a wedding day that we can control, We can say we're going to have this colour of flower and this colour of dress. We're going to have this car turn up at this time, and we're going to have the marriage in that church. We're going to have this person there, and then you get to the afters, and okay, we're going to have this table is going to have these people, and this is where they're all going to sit, and we'll have this food, and then we're going to have that drink. And there's so much detail that you can plan. I think it's really easy to think, well, actually, that's how marriage should be, but it doesn't work that way. Actually, the exciting parts of marriage is the messy bits where it doesn't work out. We've had some moments where it's like, how are we going to get through this? Those are great because you get to rely on God more. You get to rely on each other more. And I get to see how amazing my wife is and some of her really good gifts and talents and what she brings to the table. The fact that when it goes completely wrong and I'm flapping, Joe's, still calm like a lake. And it's just almost immovable. And yet when we have to do planning, I think you've commented how much you enjoy that I can plan, and I can think, and I can think of all these things that can go wrong, which can be a bad problem, but it can be a great fix too. And what am I taking away? It's the fact that in a marriage, your expectations or my expectations of what a marriage was like hasn't happened. For the most part, I had all these, ideas about what a marriage was going to be like, and getting married was really hard. Being engaged was really hard. The wedding day was really horrible in some respects. But actually, that battling and that fighting was us saying, yeah, but we still want to get married. We had quite a few people who were very opposed to what we did. We've shared that in a previous episode. My takeaway is to remember that those hard times in your life, which you didn't plan for, can be God's best way of getting your attention to become more like Jesus. And in the context of a couple, I'm reminded, and this is my takeaway, of how much power there is from a couple that love Jesus and how much that can influence the people around them.
Yeah, we mustn't forget that. I suppose I'd be thinking it's something like you were saying about we need to make sure we don't have low expectations and that it becomes negative. And I think I think I'm the sort of person who sort of doesn't. I would fall into that sort of trap, if you like, in life. And you hear the figures of how many divorces there are, particularly even in churches and stuff, which is frightening. I've not come from a particularly helpful background because there has been divorce there, and we've got plenty of experiences in it, people around us to make us think, oh, marriage isn't all what it's cracked up to be. Even though I've watched all the romantic films and I've thought, oh, isn't that lovely? So I have to be. Yeah, I'm reminded I need to be more expectant, I suppose, of what, not of you necessarily, but of us and what we can achieve together. What we can achieve and what God can do in our marriage. Because, sometimes, we've talked about the mundane of life, haven't we, in marriage and like the day to day. And sometimes we just forget about actually God's at work doing miraculous things. So I think, that's my takeaway to be more expectant of what God can do, what we can do, how our marriage can be even very exciting, even in the sort of ordinary, Does that make sense?
That's the best place to finish, I think, to be honest. Thank you for joining. I'm going to stop there.
Oh, okay.
There's nothing I can add to that. That's perfect. Thanks for joining us across the last 12 episodes. You can go back and watch. We'll be back. Don't panic. We're going to have a little rest from this, and we're going to do some other stuff and all the kind of stuff that we do. We can't do this every single week. We do have other responsibilities. So, you can catch us on Connect Radio if you're missing us. That's okay. Every Sunday, 4 till 6. But there you go. There's your expectations. Let your expectations be guided by God. Have high expectations of what God can do in your marriage. Whether you're in a great marriage, it'll be better. If you think you've got a really terrible marriage, God can make it much, much better. So let's have hope. Let's expect that God's plans are to prosper us, not to harm us. Jeremiah 20.
Is it 20?
Let me read that to finish.
Is it 29? Oh, no, I always get it wrong. 29 something.
Let's end on that one, shall we?
That's a really good one.
Just talk amongst yourselves. Jeremiah,
I can't remember.
I know the plans I have for you.
Is it 29:31 or 31:29?
I always get it the wrong way around. No, it's not 29:31.
So it must be 31. Is there a 31?
There's a 31.
We'll put it on at the end, shall we?
We'll put it on at the end. Go and find a scripture and you can let us know what it is. 23:16.
Really? Well, the plans I have for you are to prosper you, not harm you, and give you success, isn't it?
Yeah, not that one either.
So we can pray that over our marriages.
Have high expectations and believe that God has got better for you. This isn't some prosperity rubbish. This is about God's plans are to prosper you because he loves you. So don't look at your marriage or yourself and think, oh, that's the end of it. Every day is a new beginning. There you go. Bye for now.
Bye for now. ways to keep in touch with the Berry Bunch. Visit our website and sign up to the Berry Bites newsletter so that you can be notified of all our videos, posts, exciting news and seasonal events.
Subscribe to our Vimeo and YouTube channels where we post brand new homegrown video resources every week.
Join us on Ding Dash, a fabulous place that connects people from all around the world. It's social media as it should be. Come join the rebellion.
Like us on Facebook, where we hang out and post extra things to encourage and inspire you. We're on Twitter and Tumblr too. You can also follow us on Instagram, where we share extra photos from the world of the Berry Bunch.
If you've enjoyed any of our posts or videos, share it with a friend and encourage them too. And if you want to encourage us, then like, comment and share on what we make. To help support the ministry we freely provide, check us out on Patreon, where you can support us financially as you feel led.